Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome once again to another CryptoManiacs podcast. We're streaming for your, viewing pleasure. I guess it's viewing pleasure. They got to get stuck with looking at Task and I, so I don't know if that's pain or
Those on
suffering.
replay, I guess, are audio pleasure.
Yes, audio pleasure, yes. And of course, the dogs are barking as soon as I start up the podcast because Murphy's Law. We're streaming
Next come the kids screaming.
Well, the kids are we strapped them down
And fed them to the dogs
for the hour. Yes, no, they're strapped down. They're under strict rules to not make a sound.
Is that legal in Canada? That's frowned upon in the States here.
Well, we're out in the country, so I mean, I don't know if there's anyone near us, so that could just report us. Oops, we're streaming live, like I said, on Vim, on YouTube, and on the Twitter, and we're joined today by one of the OGs of the blockchain.
I'm sure she loves being called that.
Well,
I don't care.
I mean, she's been on the blockchain for a minute. And good to have her here, and she's going to get her badge after because we're very proud of our badge. Like Task, I don't know about you, but I love giving the badges out. So, no?
Yeah. I think it's probably the best thing about this show.
Giving out badges. Shadows Pub, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And by the way, I'll warn you ahead of time, I have a cat here that has a tendency to get vocal sometimes. She's been quiet so far today, but who knows? She may join the dog.
Dogs, cats. All we need is they call me down with his cat and his kid, and we're set to go.
I like it.
And we'll get Starkers on here, and he'll drop off after about 4 minutes because of his internet in, a war zone or wherever the hell he's at.
Because he had a raindrop on his satellite, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? He's climbing Mount Everest. Who knows what he's doing? We're Starkers. That's the new game on Hive.
There you go. So again, welcome. For those who might not know your story, we always do this for people that are new to the CryptoManiacs show. Maybe just a brief overview of kind of your history, how you got to. I'm not going to mention the previous blockchain. I'm using little bunny ear quotes now. But we'll just say Hive, how you got the Hive, how you got into crypto, the whole nine, and just share with people your story.
Well, it's kind of hard to avoid the legacy chain since that's where I arrived. I think I arrived about a month after they started distribution of rewards. So they started that in July of 2016. I showed up 5th of August, 2016. And of course, I'd heard about crypto mainly because I had read some stories about Mt. Gox. So I wasn't totally unaware, but I really knew bugger all. So first I was watching, of course, at that time, the legacy chain was worth about $5 a pop. And the amounts on post was like astronomical because everybody was in that, just released FOMO thing. And I'm watching these posts and I'm thinking, is this stuff real? Like, truly, there could not be a post here that's worth 15,000. Like, this is crazy. And I thought, well, I was at a time where I was deciding that I was going to go more full into writing and quit pissing around with other stuff that I didn't really enjoy. So I wrote a post and I put it up. And it sat there for a little while. And I come back and I went, maybe I should change the opening a little bit, make it a little bit more active. So I did. And I went off onto a couple of errands and I come back. And Bernie had hit the post with a $98 vote. And I went, wow, this is cool. Now I just need to figure out if it's right, it's real or not. So I hung around and eventually I found out, yep, it's real. And started doing curation post, put that out every day for a while. And just sort of spread out from there doing other things until I started PYPT in 2017. Which is a live curation show that's still operating, except it's no longer in my own Discord. I moved it over to the Dreamport Discord because we're in alignment on our views on curation. So there we go. There's the 5-minute story.
I find it amazing that you said literally a month after rewards, because that's something a lot of people might not know about. We'll call it the legacy chain. I love the way you say that. Like when it first started, there wasn't that, right? And then it came out, and it kind of changed how you approach this whole proof of brain thing. Bunny ear quotes again. Was it real? That's the same type of thing happened to me. I was, I jump on, I think it was, late 2017, and I'm seeing posts for $300, $400, $500. I'm like, come on. Like, this guy's literally putting a video up on something called DTube, or whatever the hell that is. I didn't even know what it was. And I'm seeing this guy getting like $400, $500 for just saying, I can't believe how much money I'm making with this blockchain. What? No, it's a scam. It's got to be. Right, Task? It's a scam. It's got to be.
People still call it a scam.
It's all a scam. All of it.
They call crypto a scam.
Sure they do.
Yeah.
Look at Charlie Munger. He was at it again. Mr. Sucking the brains out of kids himself.
Dude, isn't that guy like 115 years old? Like,
he's like 98 or 99. He's pushing the triple century mark.
Attaboy.
I mean, Warren's a young guy. He's only like 91 or something.
Spring chicken.
Yeah.
Well, in defense of seniors, I have an uncle who actually thinks it's pretty cool that I'm doing this stuff, and he's 100. So there we go.
There you go. Congratulations to your uncle.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Mm.
Being alive at 100 is an accomplishment.
Being alive at 100, I actually had to laugh at him on his 99th birthday. He said to me, he says, how many people can say they've got a relative that's 99? And I said, I got a better one for you, Ken. How many can say they've got a relative that's 99 and can have a conversation with them for more than 15 minutes? My phone conversations with him are at least an hour.
I don't have anybody over 84.
We have a tendency to live fairly long in this family. His mother got to 101.
So tell us about your show. What is the curation philosophy, if you will, that you have, and what does the show entail, and why did you start it? How did you get the idea? Give us the full scoop on that.
So it was a few months. Well, yeah, it was a few months after I started on the legacy chain that people started using Discord to have, places to gather to talk about the legacy chain. And I was hanging out in this one Discord with Versticken. Remember Versticken?
Yes. How can we forget him? Another unique personality from the past.
That is for sure. But
what we need, if I could jump in here, you ever see like those YouTube videos of like the Terminator, where they are now? This is what we need for, using your term, the legacy chain. Where are some of these people? Where is
for
Chip
sure.
Banfield there? Where's Forsticken? Where's Ned?
Oh God,
Ned's in
Nobody
Puerto Rico,
seems
man.
to know where Ned is. Is that where he is?
I'm sure. Like I actually Googled the other day, like a couple of weeks ago. I don't know why I was like kind of looking into the legacy chain, and I'm like, well, let's see what Ned's doing. He's totally, you can't even find him on like anywhere on social media. And apparently he's in Puerto Rico. That's kind of what I discovered while Googling, but who knows?
Hiding.
Maybe it's another Ned Scott with
and
amazing
what
hair.
was the one they hired at Steamit Inc., the marketing director, Ellie?
Jeez.
Well, wonder where she is.
Years I know she's still there.
Really?
Years
Still
I know it's hard at the legacy chain.
That's
it's hard to
dedication.
tell. So I hung around in his channel for a while. And after a while, because I'm a person who likes to keep learning and I like pushing buttons and playing around, I decided, I wonder what's involved in starting one of these servers. So I did. So then once I got it started, it was kind of like, now what am I going to do with it? Oh, I'm creating curation posts. Like, why don't I put them in here and people can drop posts in here for me to take a look at and curate. And then I got fooling around with the voice aspect of it one day, and I thought, this might get interesting. So I put a publication out and said, I'm going to be on Voice at whatever time it was, and bring your posts and we'll share them. Well, I soon found out that there were a lot of people that were willing to bring posts, share them. When I established it as Pimp Your Post Thursday, we were running for the first month, I was running an evening show. And it was so busy that I decided that in order to allow some of the other time zones to get in, I'd do one in the afternoon. So that would mean we'd do one in the afternoon that I let run until the post ran out. And then we would usually end up in an after chat that would run until people left. And then we'd do an evening show that would again run until posts ran out.
What was that word? Again?
What word? Again.
Again.
I'm speaking English. I know it's hard on you to ask.
You gotta bear with them. Okay. Every time we say certain words, they always like give a look like, what are you what's going on up there in Canada?
I know it's tough to hear the English language.
I know.
So I've actually had Thursdays that have run from the beginning of PYPT straight through to the end of the second one, because the after chats would run from one show to the next. They're not quite that intense these days. So the idea of it is people bring their post, or they can bring somebody else's. I don't care. They drop an emoji into the channel. I add them to a list. When their turn comes up, they drop the post into the text channel, and they come on Voice and they tell us about the post. And the idea is to keep it brief, sort of like a commercial for the post. And then we encourage people to go and read the post and leave some comments, and even do an upvote. So originally it was just the posts from the legacy chain. And when we moved over to the current valued chain, Hive, I sort of took the attitude that I didn't care where you posted. Come and share your content. We're all content creators. And Dreamport is the same way. Dreamport encourages content from anywhere. Doesn't matter whether it's crypto or non-crypto. So it just made sense to me to take it to the Dreamport server and host it there. So did that answer your question?
He's good. It's remarkable you sharing this story, and I'm sitting here thinking, and you see behind on the left here, I have the Web3 blockchain community. I did a post on Twitter yesterday that was asking people, what's a good branding? Is it the store of value? Is it you, or is it community? Overwhelming the Hive community, I think it was like 87% or something voted community. And you're sitting here talking about the curation community that you formed. Yep. And maybe touch on that, because we hear this all the time with Web3 and, crypto is, it's going to go to the moon, but tear it all down. What matters to me, and I know for Task as well, is community, is the real true value of a blockchain, I believe, is the people behind it. Maybe touch on that, like how important it is and how you saw that years before even Web3 was a thing.
Well, I don't know I could say it before. Well, yeah, before Web3 was a thing, but I was into crypto at the same time. We just weren't calling it Web3. And yeah, that's one of the lines I've been known to use, is it's all about community. When we support each other, we all get lifted. There is a line that Bluefin uses, and I've forgotten what it is. It's about, lifting many sails, lifting all ships, or something to that effect. It's a fairly common one. Yes. And I truly believe that. I've spent a lot of years volunteering in my own local community, like probably 4 decades of it. And, you can hire people to do the mechanics of running a community, looking after the roads and the sewers and all the rest of it. But the life in the community comes from volunteers who run programs and keep them going. And it's the same thing here on the chain. It's no different. Where you bring people together, you need people that are going to work as a group and strengthen the whole.
Yeah, I think what's cool with this though is everybody can like be heading in different directions, and it still helps the collective because of the organic nature of this complex system. So, what John and Blaine do, and Eliana with CTP actually helps uh, Hive, even though they're doing something completely, totally different than what, let's say, block trades and Hobo are focusing upon. But yet,
But
it
it all
all
comes
helps
into
the collective.
exactly. It all comes to the same thing. I always worked on. I headed up an organization for a few years, and one of the things I always worked on was what I called the circles of influence. And when I would look around the executive table, I would look at the individuals and I would think of the circles within which they traveled. And if somebody was maybe more connected with the local churches and we needed the liaison with them, that'd be the person I would ask to liaison. We've got the same thing here on Hive. You've got apps that are here that are doing different things, but they all come back into Hive itself. They're the circles of influence that make the whole.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I think right now the apps are overlooked. Everybody talks, and maybe it's for good reason because the apps aren't quite to the point yet to be a difference maker. But everybody talks about Hive when I think ultimately it's going to be Splinterland, it's going to be Leo Finance, it's going to be Project Blank, it's going to be Ragnarok, it's going to be CyberX, it's going to be whatever the application, the game, the platform is that interests people, ActiFit, you name it, that will draw their own community in, which of course helps the collective because everything they're doing, or most everything they're doing, is tied to Hive. They're going to have a Hive account if they want rewards. And it all just filters through to the number of transactions, number of accounts, number of activities, number of this, number of that, and just number of people talking about this particular application or game, and trying to get more people in by spreading the word. And I think that's where it all grows. And I think the layer two, the power of layer two, that's the marketing. Layer one is your base, that's your foundation, that's where your protocol is, that's where your decentralization is, that's where everything builds from. But I don't want to say the community, but what will interest people, the activity, that's layer two.
That is the community. The activity is the community. We're doing it together. And you're right, layer two. When we talk about the Hive blockchain, and we do, there's a friend that I've made, Alexander White, and e-podcaster, and we do a space on Tuesday evenings, and we talk about content creation on the blockchain, and we're using the Hive blockchain as a collective. Yet during that show, we'll talk about various different apps. Last week, I think we did a lot of talking about Leo Finance.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Well, I
Hive
think
blockchain
from
becomes a focal point.
yeah, I think from a marketing perspective, it's like, everybody's talking about, well, we need to market Hive. What the hell are you going to market? A decentralized database, a distributed ledger? And not that that doesn't have importance, but that's really when you look at Hive of what it is. Now, if you start talking about Leo Finance, you have a lot more to sink your teeth into. You have a lot more stuff you can pull out and show people. When you talk about ActiFit, you can start to tell the ActiFit story and the importance of activity and nutrition and health and moving around and all this other stuff. You get into Splinterlands. Well, John gets into Splinterlands and talks about that. There's, all kinds of stuff that appeals to card collectors and investors and things of that nature. And it's like, it's all Hive. Yes. It's all tied to Hive. So to a certain degree, yes. But Hive to me is about as interesting as trying to promote AWS. It's like, okay, Amazon Web Services. It's like, well, what can I do with it? I don't know about that. It's like, do you watch Netflix? Oh, yeah, Netflix. I like this. I like that. Well, that's the interesting stuff, not the database that's housing it. Although I will be the first to say decentralized databases are extremely important, and that's the foundation of Web 3.0, or one of them. But, in terms of enticing users, that's not going to do it, in my opinion. And John and I have been talking about that for over a year.
Yeah. No, we have a conversation. We have the conversation talking about. We talk about the micro economics in the sense that people can earn and they can earn in micro increments, but
Mhm.
it's taking activities they're already doing and transferring them over onto the chain where they can start earning those micro incomes. Uh, you know, you're talking about things that are interesting them. You're not, like you say, you're not talking about the chain itself. We do to an extent because people like to try to understand what's underlying it.
Yeah, I think the underlying could be of interest to some people, but to be honest with you, to most people, it just is confusion. It's like if you tried to explain to me how Netflix works on AWS, much beyond the general concept, I'd be lost because it's like if you start talking about the packets and the streaming of packets and data packets and this and that and the other thing, my eyes would roll over as would most non-techie people. But I don't care because if I had Netflix, which I don't, but if I had Netflix, when I turn Netflix on, I want it to work, and when I press on a video, I want it to play. And I think that's the same thing with Hive is when people get their rewards, they want their rewards to show up in their wallet. They don't really care how they got there. Nobody gives a crap. Well, it was a consensus mechanism of delegated proof of stake that validated the transaction 7 days ago. Who cares? Did my money show up? Did I get my Hive and my HBD or on second layer? Did I get my Leo or CTP or whatever? I mean, CTP issuing out the tokens is Blaine's problem, not mine. It's like I just want them to be there when it's reward time, and that's I think how most people think.
Well, you're going to laugh because the very reason that the space started was over confusion. Alessandra had taken an interest in joining Hive and she had joined, but she wanted to learn more. So we took it public and we opened a space and people come in. She's the anti-expert. She's the one that if I start using geek talk, she'll kind of go, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I can't understand that. Put it in terms I understand, which has been an interesting challenge. But it's also meant that other people who have nothing to do with the Hive blockchain have rolled into that space and asked questions. And there's been a few people that have taken an interest in the chain from it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be the first to admit there is a learning curve. People do need to invest time if they're serious, which they should be. Just like anything, I say each of us are a business on Hive. If you got a Hive account, that's a business. You are in whatever it is, even if it's a gamer or a content creator or a curator. I mean, the fact that we introduce the monetary aspect to this makes it a business. And any business you enter, and John, I know, is frustrated after 2 decades of people enter affiliate marketing and think that they're going to make, $10,000 a month for doing nothing. And, oh, it's easy. And they don't even learn what needs to be done. And I think it's the same thing with Hive. Okay, we do use terms that sometimes confuse things. Why do we use powering up instead of staking? Why do we use witnesses instead of block producers? Why do we use some of these different terms? I don't know, but at the end
Vests
of
instead of Hive power.
what's that?
Vests
Yeah, vests.
instead of Hive power.
Mana, John's going to do on Friday's show the question I'm going to ask in the post. John, what is mana? Could you please explain that to us?
Dude, gag me with a pitchfork, man. This stuff, like you said, I don't know how a television works, but you know what? I know if I press a little button, magical little
turn on.
nymphs, they show up on the screen and start talking to me. That's what I want. I want the end result.
And if it doesn't work, they're so cheap, you throw it out and go buy another one.
Throw it out and get a new one. Exactly.
The real interest comes when we can start talking about apps that people can come and use that they're already using. Like we've talked about Project Blank and the fact that it's
What's that?
reported to be.
John, have you heard about that? What's Project Blank?
It's reported to be a possible Twitter-like thing. I've heard a story that it's supposed to be like Twitter.
I heard of the of Bigfoot too, and the
Yeah,
Loch Ness
unicorns.
monster. They're
Unicorns.
reportedly
Yeah.
unicorns,
Unicorns and
aliens,
Sasquatch. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and Joe
Are
Biden with
you are you
a few
telling us,
operating
Task,
brain cells.
that it isn't going to happen?
What's that?
You wouldn't be telling us that it isn't going to happen.
No, it's going to happen. Cal and I's conversations with this started in August of 2020, and in fact, that's where Leo Market Talk came from that idea of these conversations. And Cal being Cal, it's like I throw out the idea and he just runs with it and says, "Okay, we can do this, we can do that." And then I guess he gets with developers and he realizes, oh, it is going to be a little harder than I thought. And they had to rewrite how the data goes down, all this other stuff. And so I think it'll happen. I think Threads, from what I read, is going to happen. Maybe not by the end of July, but early August. Next few weeks we'll have Threads, which is, I guess, their open test case, their public test case, maybe. To check out how the infrastructure is and see if it screws up or if the data is laid down properly. And then I guess they can start to do the next evolution past that, if everything's okay, to incorporate it in its own front end or in an app or whatever they need to do. But I'm highly confident they'll bring it out. And I would say now, if I had to guess, we'll see this by year end. I'm pretty sure, if the threads work and there's not major issues with them and they don't have to do an entire rewrite. But I agree with you. I think that's one of those applications that, and I've stated this a number of times, Leo Finance better be getting a shitload of accounts, because that's an application that we can take and run around social media and run to people's blogs and say, "Hey, listen, dude or dudette, you're blogging about such and such. The agenda monsters may come after you. You might want to not use Twitter and maybe go on to use this front end." And I think there's just a lot of people. I think the people who are in that realm just keep getting bigger and bigger, because, as we know, even if you mention cryptocurrency in the wrong circles, you're targeted. So I think we could get tens of thousands of people in a few months with that app.
I think sometimes that we need to be careful about the focus on the censorship free, not in the sense that we shouldn't talk about it. It's just that there are a lot of people that it really doesn't matter to. So
That's
we need
true.
to be careful we're talking to an audience that it actually matters to when we bring that up.
That's true. The problem is those are as we know, it's very difficult to get humans to change their habits. And where is the incentive to get somebody who's using Twitter to stop using Twitter, or at least to complement it with something else? We've tried the rewards, and we know how that's just a miserable failure, because people, the Jerry Banfield, I made $15,000 on these 3 posts. And, when people don't make $15,000, they get discouraged and leave. So we know that's not a motivating factor, or excuse me, that's not a marketing piece that's very effective for long-term sustainability and retention.
Yeah, when you raise expectations like that, on the counter to that, you've got somebody like ePodcaster who, I've heard her talk many a time, and she talks about the fact that she's on both. She podcasts on Hive. She does some posting on Hive. She also does posting over on Twitter. And she's talked about the fact that she makes these micro payments, or gets these micro payments. And she took a look at the micro payments that were coming in. And even if it was 5 cents per post that she put up, and she uses DBuzz quite often, she goes back over to Twitter, and she's made thousands of posts over there. If each one of them was getting 5 cents, that would be a whole different ballgame for her.
That's true.
So she's not raising expectations, but she's bringing the rewards into it on a realistic basis.
And I think Project Blank will do that, because it's my understanding there will be a token, and it's at the comment level. Hopefully they want to make it work at the comment level. So then you won't have any of the issues with posting at the blog level, which is screwing up people's feeds and the auto voters and all that other stuff. And I think it really will then target people. And I've said what you're saying she's doing. I've said that for a long time. I don't discourage people from posting on YouTube, but just take your comment and put it also on ThreeSpeak. Back it up there so it's there. You'll find over time you might get some rewards, and we know a lot. Most people. I mean, John talks about this all the time with his community. Listen, you can go try to stand out on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, and get in the realm of Gary. What's his name? Vanderchuck.
Oh,
Manage
Gary
that,
V.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where this guy's a affiliate marketing and a known entity, or you can come over to the Hive applications and get a following pretty easily if you're decent and you're consistent. I mean, I know for me, if I tried to go onto YouTube and get a following, who knows how long it would take me to get 1,000 subscribers. And what do you need?
Yep.
Like 5,000 hours of viewing content? It would take me forever to get there. I might never.
Well, you've got to rebuild an audience no matter where you go. And which is one of the beauties about Hive, is the fact that
That's true.
your stuff is there no matter what app you go on. People can see what you've done and follow you. Where they've done Web 2, they got to move from app to app to app to find you. And that's
and all those
the big
YouTubers
difference
are now going to TikTok and having to start from scratch. Whereas with
Yep.
Hive, if there was I don't know, let's say a short form video platform in addition to ThreeSpeak, it's like Hive in with your log account. Okay, all your followers are there.
I got a question for you guys. What you said, Shadows, about the rewards, that attracts me. I know it attracts other people. And the people, there's a group of people on Hive that say that this should not be the reason, and this doesn't work, and people are just milking the rewards pool and this and that. I mean, what are we here for? We're here to make money and eventually, make something out of our lives here. But this would be my argument. I totally understand layer 2. I totally agree with it. I think Leo Finance setting up for some big things with Project Blank. Everything we're doing with CTP and listeners, fine. Layer 2 is great. I think the problem is not that people aren't attracted to the rewards. I would say it's people aren't attracted to the learning curve of actually getting onboarded to Hive.
Absolutely.
That's what's not attractive. It's not the rewards. If you make it as easy as, sign up for Hive with one button on your phone, and by the way, you can get micropayments. You can get a couple of bucks from your content. I'm putting pictures up of my baby Rottweiler now, and I'm getting like $4-5 sometimes for a picture. I can't do that on Instagram.
But at the same time, you're getting that because you've built a following.
Exactly.
A new guy will not, and you'd understand that right off the bat. And that's one of the things that's Jennifer's point, is that you're not going to get those rewards right off the bat. You're going to have to start small, and you're going to have to work up. If you come in with the expectation that it's going to be big rewards, you might as well leave, because it's not happening right away, and you're going to get tired of it real quick.
Well, and there's another variable here. We hope, we presume, if you get let's say you get $1 on a post right now, or 50 cents even. You get 50 cents, and that's at the price of Hive now. If it goes up to, like you were saying when you first started on the legacy chain, if we get $5 Hive, all of a sudden that 50-cent post is $5. And now it's like, okay, well, gee, that's a little bit different. That puts things in a different context. Yes, it will take a 10x of the token, of the coin, but I can't speak for you, Shadow, but John and I certainly think that's in the future. We've talked about that on a number of occasions.
That $5 each that I started on on the legacy chain, within about 3 months, was 8 cents. And that was probably my first lesson in the fact that I have to treat this as an investment, have to keep building, have to keep creating content. and don't think about it changing tomorrow or next week. It's probably going to be in terms of months. And as long as you've got that mindset, you just keep on chugging along. And when it shoots up, like when it shot up to $8, it was like, okay, I'll take some profit. I'm good.
How come we didn't think of that, John? We should have been
Dude,
talking about that all this time.
She said that. It's like, that's when I joined and started buying it. I remember when, like back then, like you guys will remember this, all the OGs from the legacy chain. There wasn't a lot of front ends you could use. So we used the front end. And
I like that.
The right? The front end. The thought of reaching 500 power because you get that stupid little slider bar seemed like such a far off thing for me. It was my target just to get the slider bar.
Till Busy came out and gave it right off the bat.
Busy came. I liked Busy. I thought it was great, but like I remember that thought of, oh, I'm doing the math here. You know, that's like $8 a token. I need 500 of these to get my slider bar. It's going to take a while, but you're right. It's mindset. And if you treat it like you're going to get rich overnight, you're going to get pissed off and leave. But if you treat it like, if I'm making this now, it's at 40 something cents right now. What happens if it goes to $4? So every time I get one hive, that's how I'm thinking. I'm not thinking like, oh, it's 40 cents. Great.
I've been thinking that way for 4 years and still waiting.
Well, maybe we're not months, maybe we're decades away.
So when I started, there was no slider bar. It was either 100% or 0 on your vote.
Wow.
And post paid out in 24 hours. Forget a week. If you didn't make it in a day, you were done on that post. So yeah, it was a little more work back then. But really, when you take a look at it, I try to keep a little bit of an eye on the voting rate on posts that I put up, and the most of the votes are going to come within the first 36 hours. So when they went to a week, we gained about 12 hours.
Well, and now I guess maybe it always was, but now you're kind of penalized for doing it after 24 if you don't catch the vote in the first 24 hours. Your curation goes down a bit.
Yeah, I don't know that it's that noticeable, but
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a drop off.
I couldn't tell you. Like, it's so weird. Like, it's because of the change. I haven't, like, since they changed it, I haven't really thought of like, oh, it's been over 24 hours. I'm not going to vote for it. Or it's before 24. I just like, if I find it and I like it and people have interacted with me and I've interacted with them, I'll vote it.
I think the more important thing, John, of that change was the 5-minute window.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, remember it was what, 30 minutes at one point?
Yes.
And that was just insane. You go and look at a really good post that's just been posted, and it's I can't vote on it yet. I got to remember to come back and vote on it.
Yeah.
That was insanity.
Yeah, I mean, to the community and the developers' credit, I mean, when you step back and you look at it from where things were and some of these old features or non-features, however the case may be, we have adapted a lot and we have changed things a lot and we have implemented things and we got rid of some things that were pretty stupid to do and weren't working. And I think that's going to be the continued evolution of Hive. Yes, it's like trying to turn an oil tanker. Hard forks don't happen very quickly by design. And it takes a while to have the community talk about this stuff, banner it around, rip it apart, post more about it, talk about it more. And then, finally a decision's made. Hey, let's go and change this.
I see the people that are impatient about growth. And I think something that a lot of them need to remember is the fact that we are really early adopters.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is tuned to being an early adopter.
No, they are not.
And, if they show up, if they're not tuned to being an early adopter and they show up and they push a few buttons here and there and it doesn't work the way they expect it to, which is, a little bit more polished, they're going to wander off and call it a waste of time. So we're better to attract the early adopters and be patient about growing or far enough for the rest of them. I was in a space not long ago, and a guy shared a bell chart that showed the difference between the early adopters and the ones that come a little bit later. And they were pretty much equal sized groups. And I think they were somewhere around 20 or 25%.
I think it's
So
20% if you're thinking of the same curve that I've seen. Yeah, it's about
probably,
20. It's about 20% each.
yeah. So we probably need to be a little bit more patient than we really are, because we really are still developing. You look at most of the apps, they're not particularly polished. 13.5 for the early adapters. The early majority is 34. The late majority is 34. And the laggards are 16. And we're still in that 13.5%.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of calm down a little bit on getting in a rush.
Well, and you know, an old marketing concept is the best marketing in the world of a shitty product puts you in bankruptcy. Because
Yeah.
if you're not delivering, then and we've seen this. I mean, we got over 1 million accounts. Okay, maybe a lot of them are duplicates and bots and whatever. Actually, we're probably over 2 million now, and all of us were here in the day where there were, I don't know, a few hundred, maybe 100,000 active accounts, not necessarily every day, but overall active. And where did a lot of those people go? And those people, a lot of them, once you turn them away and turn them off and they leave, they're not coming back.
No.
Unless you suddenly become so huge that it's like, oh crap, I can't avoid it. They're gone forever. And so that's the point, is if we attracted 5 million people, yet almost all of them left, you just burnt 5 million good leads. So we're better off not having them, getting the scaling in place, getting a little more ease of use, getting the onboarding better, getting the sign up better, getting the apps more polished, getting Leo Finance working better and ActiveFit. You know, they just had a new release. I didn't download it yet. John, did you? I haven't seen it. Yeah, they had a post about a new update that's pretty incredible. So
I got iOS, man. You got to do like secret handshakes with the powers that be to get updates on iOS. So
okay.
I'm living in an Apple world, man.
And over on Twitter, they do iOS and then they get around to Android.
Yeah. Mr. One Button. So, I mean, you're right. I agree with that 1,000%. We have to get some of our ducks in a row, especially with these applications. You know, and that's why I think Splinterlands did so well, is they had that big rush last summer, which, what was it at that point, John? At least a 2-year-old game, maybe a 3-year-old game. And they had a lot of their ducks in a row. They could handle the scaling. They still had some problems with the scaling, but they were able to maneuver it around. The blockchain was able to handle it decently. Block Trades had to make a few changes on stuff that he'd been putting off, but he knew needed to be done. So he banged that out in a weekend or two. And, you know, they were able to handle it. And I think the game got, you know, blindsided by the start of the bear market. So, you know, that, you know, how that affects people's feelings and attitudes. But without that, I mean, if Leo Finance had attracted 100,000 people a year ago, I mean, Leo Finance's app isn't to the point where it should be right now. It's a pain in the ass to use. It's slow at times. It doesn't, you know, it crashes a lot. They're updating, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we just got to be patient for this stuff to build.
It's a learning curve, and we're all learning along with it.
Well, the other thing, as you know, we were on CTT, each of us, the last 2 weeks, and what those guys talk about all the time and what they're involved in, it takes the building of infrastructure, and infrastructure is not easy to build. It doesn't come quickly, but you have to build out that infrastructure for all the stuff to go on top. And, you know, there's people all over the crypto world building out infrastructure in the bear market because it's needed.
They've been banging at that for what, 2 years, 3 years now, working on building that infrastructure?
it keeps changing. So yeah, I mean, at
Yeah.
least 2 years, and they keep going down one road and encounter problems, and so you have to turn and go to another path, and then you encounter problems there, and you have to overcome them. And it appears from what they've saying they're getting very close to some major breakthroughs, but we'll see. That's one of the reasons why, I mean, I get frustrated with Cal and his Sooniverse, but I understand where he's coming from. A lot of this stuff takes time. You just can't avoid it.
I certainly hope that one thing that he's looking at, just what I need, a phone call. One thing that he's looking at is eventually interconnecting with the Oriole platform or the Oriole app, because they're bringing in the live. Because if they want to compete with Twitter, they're going to need social audio, and two of them can work together on it.
Yeah, I don't know the long term implications. It's very interesting because, like you said, what we're looking at with Project Blank now, as most of us are envisioning, is text. But certainly, when you start getting into social media, the traditional social media, you got to be, text, audio, video. I mean, you have to have many different ways of taking content. So I have no idea what the plans are. I think just having something out that allows for microblogging, I think that would be just a huge step in the right direction.
It'd be a good start. Although
It,
I would have said the exact same thing and thought no more of it 3 months ago. And yet, having been poking around the spaces, and I see the groups that are there, and the amount of use that it's getting, I'm like, okay, Hive is going to need this somewhere. Somehow they need it.
well, and that's maybe it's time for us to go knock on Vim's door, John, and get him back on. Vim is that's a multimedia platform that maybe they could start integrating some stuff. I don't know.
That could get interesting.
See, this is a really good conversation. I have this in my little marketing circles all the time, and this is the problem I have. It's not a problem. It's kind of like I've seen this for being 20 years in this stuff, that when you try to build the next so and so, it never works. So yeah, it's a cool feature adding social audio to something. It's a cool feature being the next Twitter on the blockchain. Like, that's cool. It's a cool feature, but that's not the game. TikTok was a game changer, right? Twitter was a game changer. Facebook was there. There was no Facebook killer. There was no Twitter killer. There was no Instagram killer. They kind of carved their own niche. So, and I don't have the answer for this, but I think what would really set Hive apart when it comes to this is developing something brand new that is completely unique, that caters to community, just like all these other platforms, especially social audio. But maybe it's something we haven't even thought up yet. And that's where I think, great book. Al Rees wrote 22 Immutable Laws of Branding like 25 years ago. And that's one of the things that he states in it, is that you're never going to get a brand and then the next version of that. It's always, the brand will be something brand new. It's going to trailblaze.
That's where the disruption comes in.
Disruption, right? What's the next Airbnb? There isn't. Airbnb disrupted that. What's the next Uber? There isn't. Uber disrupted that. So that's
but I would
thought.
say, John, my retort in that is, I agree with you, but you have to have some of these base features to even be on the playing field. And Hive needs to offer, I mean, basically Hive offers speak with uploaded videos and blogging content. That's what we offer. And it's through different applications. So I think some of these other features, I don't think that Leo Finance or Project Blank's going to be the next Twitter, but I think it's an application on Hive that can help the totality of the social media package that we're offering to content creators. And like Shadow said, with the one account, one following, all that good stuff. And yes, we still need to look at the breakthrough. Is it going to be Ragnarok? Is it going to be CyberX? Is it going to be what you guys are doing with CTP? Is it something we're not even talking about here that somebody is working on in that we don't even know about? Somebody's hacking away at code and going to bring out the super duper app. The advantage we do have with all of this is all of it can be tied to proof of brain. So I
Yep.
think that's another layer that, although like we've been discussing, you don't want to appeal to people just for the rewards. But if you start talking micropayments, if you start talking being rewarded for your activities, you start talking about then all of that instantly immersing you in DeFi, then you start to open up a complete package that it's like, well, you don't get that with Twitter. You don't get that. And oh, by the way, now you're dealing with Web 3.0. And not only is it the monetization, which everybody wants to seem to focus upon, but my feeling is, and what I've been doing with my project is, the decentralized database aspect of things is very, very important and could really be expanded upon as people start to utilize this technology to build databases. Then other applications, other games, other platforms start to integrate all that data in because it's open source. It's on the blockchain. It's free. Take it, read it.
When you take a look at what is building on Hive, not either has built, what is built and what is starting to build, Hive itself is unique. Name a chain that offers as much of a mall as Hive does.
Well, I would say Ethereum is crushing it in terms of development, but Ethereum comes into the problem of,
But what are they
usability.
developing?
They're developing a lot of different things. I mean, I've seen projects, everything from trying to set up databases tied to information. You got the smart contract capability. They're doing a lot in the DeFi and the financial arena, but it all comes back to the usability issue. And that's true. They don't have. I say there are some entities trying to do social media. In fact, there's one outfit trying to build Twitter on Ethereum. I believe it's Ethereum. I might be mistaken. Maybe it's on Polygon or something, but it's on one of the EVMs, which I think, and I said this a number of times on this show, that's a non-starter. I mean, how can you have social media and transaction fees? That to me that'll kill it right off the bat. So the usability.
Blurt's doing so well with them, aren't they?
What's that?
Blurt is doing so well with their transaction fees, aren't they?
Did I read that right? They added transaction fees?
They added
Yeah,
from the start.
it's not large, but it's there.
It's
It's
like
been there from the
0.01
start.
blur for everything you do. It was from the start.
Why?
And I did notice that if you do 2 or 3 transactions in the course of a day, that amount actually grows a little bit.
Oh, really? It escalates.
Yep.
So does that go into a fund or something and then get distributed out to people or something?
I don't know. If they had more transparency, we'd probably know about that.
I've never even signed in. I have no idea about it. I plead the fifth.
I signed in, did 2 or 3 posts. I have a little bit of stuff over there that I've actually got delegated out to a guy that is trying to do a curation project on the chain. But other than that, I don't bother with it. It's, a lot of the disgruntled ones from here have gone over to there, and they think they've found nirvana, and more power to them. Let them be happy.
Yeah, I think, again, that's where people get caught up with the blogging, and Hive's a blogging chain, and it's so much more than that. As we're talking about, I mean, you start to talk about distributed ledger technology with the blockchain, and our rewards just show up, and the consensus is the top 20 witnesses, but we have over 100 computers with this database that is just every 45 seconds being updated on their servers and cannot be reversed. You have the account management system at the base layer, which one account to sign into all the apps. We have all these different applications that are being developed, and we have the resource credit system, which John at least understands resource credits. He doesn't really understand mana, but he's getting pretty good with resource credits, so we give him credit on that. Even if he just says, okay, high power equals resource credit. But, there are no direct transaction fees. That is amazing. That's really powerful. And then you get the Speak Network guys with what they're talking about, basically forking everything under the sun that's out there, stealing our technology, kicking all the founders and large accounts out, and saying, here, now you as a community can have your own blockchain. Oh, by the way, any transactions you do will run through DPoS and run through Hive, and that way you can wrap your Bitcoin and not pay, a $10, $20 fee. You can just send it through Hive or whatever.
So many things coming. I'd love to see somebody come along and pick up on your idea with the Leo glossary and say, we need a wiki style front end. I love the fact that John has created the Hive Pay. There's something that runs parallel to PayPal. Like so many things that
you said it out loud, and you see
less PayPal in the world, the better the world is.
I knew that was coming. I had to trigger it.
We said PayPal and Ethereum so far. There's only one more.
I heard Ethereum. I grunted a little bit inside.
We got PayPal and Ethereum. And there's just one more. It starts with an M. It's a wallet.
Yeah, that was the next one. You're talking about usability, and as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, because using MetaMask is just the most user-friendly thing ever. Like,
oh God,
again,
no.
I'd rather stub my toe constantly for a few hours before loading that piece of crap up. I got
John's really not a fan of the EVM.
Just, you know what?
I don't blame him.
My mic again.
I really don't blame him. I was on Uptrend when it was running, and it was running on Ethereum. Although it was never a blockchain, even though they sort of put themselves out there like they were at first. But it was never a blockchain, and the gas fees to trade out the 1UP was just horrendous. It was like, yeah, I don't want to deal with ETH at all. Like I thought about doing some NFTs with some of my writing. It will not be on OpenSeas or anything related to it. You happy, John?
Yep, thank you. I don't want anything to do with that chain, man. And I get it. It's the darling of the bankers. I get it, but
I do believe there's an opportunity for Hive there. We just have to get the infrastructure. This comes back to the infrastructure of smart contract capability and all that other stuff that we don't have right now. And we had Hovu on maybe about a month or so ago, John. I don't remember. And he said, one of the great things about Half is smart contracts can be built right into that and on there and make it real easy for devs. And they can build the smart contracts, not in Solidity, but whatever code they want to use. So, hopefully with this next hard fork, we'll start to see an acceleration thereafter of some development.
Yeah. I think that, I agree with you that eventually we're going to start finding these really cool apps, or people are going to start finding these cool apps. We already know they're here. And suddenly they're going to discover, hey, that's built on Hive. Wow, I can use my Hive account and go from here to here to here to here. As Dan says, the Hive account will have value.
Yeah, I like to think of Hive as just an organic, complex system, and the analogy I like is you just think of a field, a flat field, nothing on it, just a little grass there, and that's what everybody sees. And what we're really doing is we have our bushes growing, and we have a few saplings, and there's a few little small rodents living there and insects, nothing big because we're not there. But what's going to happen is all of a sudden people are going to walk down to this field and realize one day there's a whole damn forest there. And I think that's what's happening with all these applications and games. They'll ultimately leverage against each other because it is the one account sign-in, and people are making progress in all these different directions. None of them coordinated, none of them going in the same direction. It's like herding cats. It's going all over the place. And everybody says, this is a problem. We should be unified. No, this is how you get the damn forest, because all of a sudden everybody wakes up one day and says, holy crap, look at all this stuff that was accomplished. And
that's why it's called an ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a uni system. It's an ecosystem.
Exactly. And all of a sudden the crap John and Blaine are doing and spend all the hours doing, it's like all of a sudden in their area, they push it ahead to version, 10.4, and it's far advanced where it is now. And then what Cal's doing and what Block Trades is doing, what Speak Guys are doing, and what Lindos is doing. And all of a sudden all this comes together. And it's like you said, all of a sudden the ecosystem gets a lot bigger, a lot wider, a lot deeper. And it's like, holy crap, where did this come from? Well, we've been
It's
promoting on Twitter for 3 years. Come on, people, where you been?
really, when you get right down to the very core of it, it is really all community. You know, when I was doing stuff in the real life community, there's groups all over the place doing different stuff, and they don't have to coordinate with each other. It doesn't matter. When they're needed for something, you can find them and you can call on them. And it's the same thing here on Hive. Doesn't matter whether everybody knows what everybody else is doing. When you need them, you'll find them.
Yeah, and you were on in the audience on Saturday's call. I mean, that is how it works. I mean, I got this little project I'm doing. Actually, it just keeps turning into a bigger project. But anyway, you know, I just make a quick video. Cal goes in the comment section saying, "Hey, I can take this and integrate it into the front end." It's like, okay, great. And then I go and talk to Matt and Dan, and you heard what they were doing. They were just starting to toss out ideas and ways you can build on it and add to it and expand it. And like you said, other people can pick up on the same concept and build their own database. I think this is great if people are into gardening, if people are into photography, any hobbies, you know, the sports talk people should pick up on this. I mean, it's just a very simplistic way to get your website as expertise by having a glossary and terms and concepts and material that becomes an education center. And that's how I think building out a wiki. And then, like you said, if you get enough of these groups and these communities doing this, then somebody just takes a front end and starts tapping into all the information and just pulls it all up in one front end. And it's like, here's Wikipedia on Hive. And you got, you know,
there you
8,000 different groups that put up their area of expertise, and it's all open, and they just bring it all together. And it's like, okay, here it is.
So back, I don't know, a couple of months ago, I wrote a series of kind of primer posts, different stuff covered in each one. I think I did about 10 of them. And the whole thing is to introduce people to how to create content on Hive and how to use Hive, the basics of it. And I've got an index pinned up at the top of my blog, but I thought I need to put that into a format where I can periodically export it to a PDF and distribute the PDF so people can use that up on the screen to work at Hive. So then I'm listening to you on Saturday, and I'm like, cool. I can just tie into those glossary terms when I need to define terms as I'm setting that up. So it was good to know what's there.
Yeah, and I mean, my theory with it is multifaceted. Is A, as I mentioned, the proof of concept, but B is to get links out there for Hive related content, mostly Leo Finance. That's my primary focus, but it does, I guess, filters down a little bit to other front ends. But it is a resource for people to use, not only for linking, but for education and things like that. And then, you know, have people start to, you know, set up their own account and just put up different posts of their terms, their type of things. And then they can just start to link that together on a main page, which is very easy to do. And then it's like you send that link out, and here's 50 basics of photography.
Imagine the fun the foodie community could have doing a cooking glossary.
Recipes. They could do all kinds of recipes and stuff like that, and just throw up a recipe and put it in there. And here's chicken parmesan, and here's, you know, chicken cordon bleu, and whatever they want, spaghetti bolognese. I mean, here's your, you know, I'll write the one for cereal. You know,
macaroni and cheese. I got that.
Chemicals and sugar.
Yeah. Just pour the fake food in a bowl and put some steroid injected milk in there, and you're done. Yeah, I mean, it's you start pondering some of this stuff. I mean, I've mentioned it to John. You know, all the affiliate marketing and online marketing, all these different terms and concepts and stuff like that. I mean, that could easily go into a CTP Talk glossary. And, you know, they could set it up under an account, and hopefully over time that filters through the search engines, where if some people start looking for this affiliate marketing stuff, they go to CTP, and it's like boom, right there.
And it'll end up, where it's coming up, in Google with no problem.
Yeah, I mean
Just out of volume.
that's the thing, is you need to get enough links out there and stuff like that. I wrote one article where I just did Alan Alda in Wikipedia, and the first paragraph alone in Alan Alda, there was like 23 or 24 links to other Wikipedia pages in the first paragraph. I mean, they have billions and billions and billions of links going, and that's why you search most terms and Wikipedia is going to come up on the first page for most everything. So it's just a process of getting all this out there and getting it filtering through. But I think it's a way to use these decentralized databases, and then, as you said, you never know who grabs it, and somebody else could come along with another application and say, I want that glossary. I want that data. I want that information. I want those recipes. I want whatever. Well, it's on the blockchain. You can take it.
That's one of the beautiful things about the blockchain, is nobody needs permission to build. As long as they know what they're doing, off they go.
Well, I ran into it twice. I was told no twice by the blockchain. I didn't have enough resource credits. But other than that,
well, that's different.
That's the only no. The blockchain said no. No person did. So I added more resource credits.
With your Hive power, I was absolutely surprised when you made that comment on Saturday that you ran out of resource credits.
Well, that's because I'm not doing this out of my main account. I set up another account, and I delegated.
So you just delegated more over.
Yeah, and what happened was I started with 100, and then I went to like 250, then I went to 500, and I had to do it again. And since I got somebody else, I don't know if John, you picked up on this. I did a post about. There's a Splinterlands page going in Leo Glossary too, and I got somebody doing that, so I had to add more high power because he's in Romania, so he does it while I'm sleeping, and then I do it when he's sleeping, and so we need all the resource credits.
Who's doing it, Adrian?
Gadrian, yeah, Gadrian's doing it.
How long I've known that guy for? Known him for like a decade plus.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and he threw up on the Splinter Glossary. It's called. It's a subset of Leo Glossary, and he didn't define them all, but he threw up like 80 Splinterlands terms. So it's like, okay, this guy's filling out a database. He knows what he's talking about.
Solid guy, man. One of the good guys for sure. Yeah.
I love the fact that you've brought the affiliate marketing to the chain without it being scammy affiliate marketing.
Because it's not like it's not supposed to be, and it got that way because people could hide behind things. I've made $1 million. Look at the pictures. Even though I've rented the Lamborghini, I've rented the house, but I'm still going to do a video of me sitting in this Lamborghini. You can't do that on the blockchain. So that's something we've always believed in. Like, everything's transparent. We're telling you. We said it last night on our show. It's like we're not buying and selling index tokens. We're buying them, and you can see we're buying them. We're not flipping them. We're literally buying them. Everything's transparent. You don't need to lie here. You can't. You can, then you get called out. But just be yourself, and that's where affiliate marketing needs to go. So, anyways, that's another.
Hey,
your approach to it is. Your approach to it is very much like Dream is taking with the her Dream token that goes with Dreamport. Is when the people go in and they use the Dreamport site and they curate, they can earn Dream tokens. And when she puts up prizes of any kind, they come out of her own personal stash. She doesn't pull them out of the total amount available.
Yeah, it's something we did with our tipping bot. We purchase and earn the tokens. We didn't create new tokens to tip. It's all coming from our own efforts and our own pockets, because again, we just think that's the right way to do things. But to each their own.
Have you seen the activity that's going on with Dreamport?
I'm completely ignorant to that.
Well, you need to take a look at it. take a look at the tag Dreamers, and you'll see the people that are engaging with Dreamport. They're currently collaborating this month with the Eastern Sea community. Every month they collaborate with another community, and usually do some types of challenges and that sort of thing. But the whole idea is to get people engaging on posts. Not only eyes on posts, but getting them engaging with posts. Because as we know, the life of a post is in the comments.
Check
And
out
there needs to
listeners.
be link in comments along with the main body. It all counts.
Especially if they're Leo links.
Well, that's exactly it. They all count in the search engine. Hey,
Yep,
John, I
they
have
do.
a question for you. That application that you told me about a couple months ago, what's the status on that?
I literally just, like, Blaine sent me a note, and I sent him a note about an hour ago about it. So, Sooniverse.
Is this blank too?
What's that? Sorry.
I said, is this blank too?
No, it's not that bad because they only started talking about it like 2.5 months ago, not 2.5 years ago.
Oh, okay, we'll forgive him then.
Yeah.
And I think before they started talking about, they had like a working prototype, so at least it wasn't.
Oh yeah,
in the conceptual stage.
we have it working. Me, Eliana, and Blaine play with it every day. It's just, again, 3 people, development. We've been dealing with these stupid servers for the past month. Everything is fine now. So, Sooniverse.
Well,
That's
if
my
it all
official-
went smoothly, would you appreciate it?
It's supposed to be an adventure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're supposed to find out the ways it won't work, so you know which way it will work.
Exactly. Yeah. This has been a great talk. Lots of people were watching in on.
Any questions, or are they just commenting how
Comments, lots of comments. Lots of people tuning in on Twitter. We had E Podcaster in Vim chatting, as well as My Path to Fire and YouTube. Again, lots of people sharing it on Twitter too. So
I threw a post out just before we started that I was going to be on.
It's a great talk. It's and
it's been interesting.
Well, I love the history, right? I mean, and this is what we're going to have now going forward. Is a lot of these people will have shared histories of this stuff, and like you said, we're early. This is still super early, and why we, me and Task every single week we beat the drums, telling people stop worrying about the day to day. Stop worrying about what you're making tomorrow. Worry about what you're building for 5 years down the road. And that's a tough sell, but if you see what I'm pretty sure all 3 of us will agree on, like what the future of this stuff is going to be.
Just the changes I've seen in 6 years. I'm not going anywhere.
Exactly.
When the market started dropping, we started kind of joking around in PYPT, but the underlying was to encourage people not to get discouraged. And we were calling it ride the bear. Just jump on that bear and ride it. Play with it. Have fun. Keep on building.
Yep. That's what they say. Bear markets are for builders, and that's where you gain. And hell, we've come a long way in the last little over 2 years since the fork took place, and we took control. I'm amazed at what happened in the last 2 years, and not only infrastructure but layer 2 development.
Yep. The speed has been amazing, and really, when you look at it, with there being no direct company, it's a group of people that don't always agree but are working together, and this has been able to develop as to watch.
Yeah, to me, it's a race of. I have 4 or 5 things that I'm watching. It's like, to me, it's a race of, I don't want to say the killer DApp, but who's going to break through first? And, we had a little bit with Splinterlands, and that was nice. But who is going to be the next one that really breaks out and captures it? And who's going to get their development and get something to market that a lot of us just take and start running all over Twitter and Facebook with? And I don't know who it'll be, but it's just there's, CyberX, there's Leo Finance, I think John with the app that we talked about. I think that has great potential. course, there's the Speak Network guys, and then of course there's always a wild card that maybe it's something we aren't even aware of right now.
We need to be using the Hive hashtag over on Twitter a whole lot more so that we get it to trending. That will
Well,
get things noticed.
are we still shadow banned there? Shadow?
I don't know. Are we?
I always was. I mean, I think
knows?
every time I upvote people like John or Dan who have something in Hive, I haven't not looked in the last few weeks, but it always went to 5, then back to 4. So
I never noticed that. Just before we started here today, I noticed a tweet come out from the Terra Classic people. And it says 99% of crypto investors fail to understand that decentralization is an uncomprehensible or compromisable requirement of a public blockchain, which I totally agreed. Without it, the chain is as good as a company that needs to abide by security laws. And then they went with, there's only one crypto that is not a security. It ends with a C, to which I replied, you better check out Hive before you claim to be the only one. Luna C is trying to say they're going to be the only decentralized chain. I think we need to dissuade them of that.
I think there's two. There's two. There's Bitcoin and Hive.
that's what Charlie Shrem said.
Yep.
It's basically
talk about old guard.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying watching what's going on with Luna C. Not that they're trying to claim to be the only decentralized chain. That's not going to fly. But it is so many similarities to what took place between the legacy chain and Hive.
Oh, I think that's what's going to happen when you have too many chains that are going to be vulnerable to regulation, including Ethereum. I mean, when certain entities start knocking on people's doors, like Vitalik or Hodgkinson, and they're from the U.S. government, and it's not the SEC, but like Homeland Security, that'll make you fill your shorts. And I don't know if those people can stand up to the claim, hey, your blockchain's being used by terrorists. Then what do you do as a developer? What do you do with Hive? It's like nothing. Okay, I'll stop. I'll shut down my witness note. There's over 100 more.
Exactly.
I got to deal with it.
And that may be something we would eventually have to confront, but I think we've got a ways to go before that happens.
No, but again, even like Bitcoin, what do you do if you have to confront it? How do you get to 100 plus witnesses? And that's what we have now. I mean, This thing starts taking off, we may get 200-300 witnesses all over the world. I mean, we have people running a witness node under their desk, some in their closet, different server companies, different places in the world where these companies are from. How do you stop it? You can't.
And the upside to that is we're not a Rogers, and we won't go down across the country when it does happen. If one goes down.
Cass, that's a Canadian reference. Basically, Canada's AT&T went offline last week and took down the whole country.
Hey, I know Rogers Communications because I know the Blue Jays.
There you go.
He's an expert.
It will always be Skydome. I'm never calling it Rogers
agree.
Center. Yeah. Thank you.
Actually, John, I will continue to call it the Roundhouse because that's what was there, and my husband worked at for 40 some odd years.
I remember going up in the CN Tower as a kid. My dad would always point it out. Look, that's the Roundhouse right there. That's where all the trains go. I'm like, 5. I don't know what I was talking about. But he'd always point it out to me before Skydome was built. So.
Was your dad a railroader?
He loves railroads, but no, he never worked on them. But it's his thing. It's his thing. If he was out here, if he's gonna come visit me, like we're just outside of Camrose. They got a big train station, big history out here in the prairies of. My dad would be in heaven. Like look, this is what this does. Like it's insane.
So you're saying you're going to take it down to the train station, drop them off, and then go pick them up later in the day.
He would
5
be
hours later.
Dude, he literally would be the happiest guy. You just put him in a train station that was built in like the 1800s, and he's done. Forget it.
So you could have him babysit the grandchildren, take them to a train station, and
bore
both
the
of them
hell
happy.
out of them with, look, grandson, this is what this does. Bore the hell out of them for a day. Go ahead, Dad. Yeah.
I sense you don't share his enthusiasm for that particular hobby.
I think it's a great way to travel. I love it. It's also the most expensive way in Canada to travel, but it's a fantastic way to see the country.
Unless
you're not going to spend 5 hours in an 1870s train station looking at the history and reading the history on the wall.
Yes, no, don't care.
So, John, I can make you a little on the jealous side. I actually have a lifetime pass on the railroad in Canada.
What, on Via?
Yeah.
Wow.
My husband was a railroader. He had a lifetime pass that came to me when he died.
Damn.
See, there's a prime example. John, you should get your dad on Hive, and he could do a glossary of different train stations in Canada. Have a decentralized database of different Canadian train stations.
Wow.
Task is going to become a decentralized database guy. He's going to be marketing hundreds of them.
Well, because ultimately, I mean, imagine Hive with a Wikipedia version on it. It would be amazing. Like you said, if somebody took all this stuff, if we got it going and then somebody built the front end, that front end would just rank in a matter of months on everything and would just kill Wikipedia. It would be great.
I don't know about months, but it would happen. I agree with you on that.
Well, because the data is already there, so the Google bot would go around. Since you're just linking them, the data is already there, so the content's already aged. So the front end.
Whatever happened to Everpedia? Did it get off the ground or did it just die?
I think they built it on Ethereum, and $500 an entry kind of got them. I don't know. I think they moved to some other chain, and I don't know what. I mean, I've thought about this. I've looked at this. Building a Wikipedia. I mean, Wikipedia's been, I don't know, 20, 25 years in the making. It's a mammoth undertaking. It's enormous. And that's why I think just building out niche databases, niche glossaries is a way to start in that direction. And then you tie it in with other blog posts and other data that's already on the blockchain. Then you start to have an information center and a resource for these specific niches that then can over time be tied together if you want to go in that direction. But I mean, it's just.
WordPress has a plugin that you could put a wiki on your own website. If somebody was to take that plugin and use it as a base, they might be able to build something to connect to the chain. They'd have to know a whole lot about coding more than I do, so I'm not even going to go there.
Well, yeah, it's. I think the important thing is getting the data on there. Once the data is on there, and somebody else, especially with what's coming up with the half, because then it makes it easier for non-blockchain developers to create their own database and structure the data how they want. Then it's just a matter of, using the technical coding skills to build something that ties it all together and pulls the data as they want. I mean, I think the big thing's getting the data on chain. I think after that, it's, you get somebody with some coding skills, that's a piece of cake.
So if it's going to make it that much easier, maybe we'll see one of those guys that have been trying to do the front ends where you can do your own themes. Do something a little bit different and kind of go in that direction like that. Because really, we don't need more blog front ends. If you're going to do themes, have it themes that could be built into pages. And then you could do something like. I don't understand
what you mean by themes built into pages. I'm not following.
That's
themes is it's a style of how a page is set up. Like right now, you've got very limited possibilities on setting up pages that are on the front ends. If you had a whole lot more flexibility on how you could set a page up and still be able to tie it into the blockchain, then you could build something like a Wikipedia.
Well, I think aren't we limited because most front ends are really just forks of Steemit? I mean, Leo Finance built their own, Ecency built their own, so they could literally build, I guess, that feature of themes. If I'm understanding you correctly, couldn't they build that into their applications and give people a little more versatility there? Or am I missing what you're saying?
So the original front end on the legacy chain, which of course carried over onto Hive, actually came from a WordPress theme that somebody dissected and built into putting on the blockchain. Except all they brought over was the blog part of it. Where in WordPress, you can do both pages and blogs. Pages are a whole different structure from blogs. Blogs allow you to build up posts one after another, and usually you go back down, you're going by the date they were published. Where a page you can structure any way you want. So you get somebody to do the same thing again, only this time keep both pages and blog posts together. Now you've got more flexibility in what you're doing on the blockchain.
Yeah,
That makes sense to you?
I see what you're saying, and yeah, I mean it's certainly I think the front end structure is important. I mean, people have talked for years about skins and how people like that stuff and put in a different skin and different ways to personalize your homepage.
Skins are like a theme.
Okay. Okay, so I see what you're saying. But instead of just changing the colors and the pictures, it's actually changing the layout on the page.
Exactly.
Is what a theme is. Okay, it's changing the data structure.
It changed the layout. You can put more things. You can decide in more personal ways what you want on the page.
I mean, John, to me, that sounds like a job for Blaine. Put it on his to-do list.
I think he better get the first project off the ground. The project
he's raging right now at me, so I'm just
yeah, put that in the back of your mind for the next project.
You start to throw out these ideas and there's the possibilities there, and I don't know what the development requirements are, but that stuff that over time, as people start to take these ideas and develop them, next thing you know, it's like all of a sudden there's a totally different group of people that are being appealed to.
Well, exactly. Like if you could do pages as well as a blog, you'd bring in website developers. Right now they come in and they look and they go, "Oh, it's a blogging platform." It's not a blogging platform. It's a whole lot more. Those websites could also give greater access to the apps that are there.
Yeah.
So it's part of the possibilities that we've got going forward.
Well, I'm just looking for John's and Blaine's retro app. They're going old school social media. They're going back to the basics.
It's about timing. And I still believe that was way ahead of schedule. Now is the right time for that.
Hey, you guys are like you're like bell bottoms and drive-in restaurants. They came back into vogue, and it's after this. What are you going to work on? Dig, a remake of Dig? Although that's still
Friendster, sir, and MySpace is next on the agenda.
Dig's still floating around, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Dig's still around. MySpace is still around. There's a blast from the past for you. This Friendster's gone. Aww.
Yeah. There you go. What a show, man. Good show. Good talk.
It's been interesting for sure.
We'll have to have you back. We always say this, and then there's multiple badges. No, there's only the one badge because John is too lazy to give everyone multiple badges. So.
It's okay. I didn't do it for the
badges.
I'm good with that.
You tear
it. I'm going to have to make a new graphic now, eh?
I was looking. You know what? We were talking. I'm looking at that graphic there. I got to get rid of that Bitcoin and put a hive symbol in our little CryptoManiacs guy there. So. enough of this Bitcoin talk. It's Hive. Ladies and gentlemen, Shadows Pub, one of the OGs of the legacy chain now of Hive, the value chain. I love these. These are great terms. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. And
Thanks for having me.
appreciate it. Task, we got a busy week. Absolutely nothing but Friday to come. So that's our busy week. Yeah.
I got some database work to do. How about you?
Show up, create content, and treat it like a business. Nugget. There you go.
How many terms do you think you're going to end up putting in there?
I've written down quite a few today, so we're good.
No, I meant Task and his glossary.
Oh man, with the we're adding more pages. My intention was it's probably closing in on 400 now, and I was going to come up for air when I got to 1,000. I figured that would take me about a little over a month from now. But now that Gadrian's coming in, and he, as I said, he threw up just the terms related to Splinterlands about 80, and then I mean, some of them are copied over. So Splinter Glossary, the main page has NFT. Well, NFT also is applicable to Splinterlands. Obviously, cost benefit analysis is not really applicable, or dollar cost averaging, or some of that stuff. So, there's going to be separate sections. Right now, I'm doing a Leo Finance page too, which again has some terms copied over from the main page, but that's a page where it's specifically for Leo Finance stuff. So it talks about X Polycub and Polycub and Vex Polycub and Cub Finance and what the different things are there. So it has those terms and whatnot. So it'll be a valuable resource center. And then, of course, I this morning I was adding some basic business terms like corporation and stuff like that. So you start getting into investing, crypto, business, marketing. I mean, Leo Finance, even though it's not general purpose,
I think you're heading for thousands.
What's that?
I think you're heading for thousands.
Oh, it could definitely
and never ending.
It could definitely be thousands, and I mean, as I said, Splinterlands will probably end up with, I don't know, John, what would you say? There's probably a couple hundred terms in Splinterlands, especially if you start getting into some of the cards. I don't know if Gadrian has that vision. I don't know if that's the direction he's going, but you could get into some of the cards. I imagine
there's at least 50 different abilities alone. So you'd have to go into the abilities, the summoners, the cards, the mana. Yeah. Gong show.
Yeah. And what does that do to somebody who's trying to learn the game to have that resource there and spelled out in what I presume will be understandable terms from somebody who has been playing the game a long time, and all of a sudden there's a couple hundred terms, and it's like you can just spend an afternoon reading through some of it. I mean, you'll get an education and a half about the game.
Absolutely. Good luck with it.
As I said, that's Gadrian's problem. I can't do very much in Splinterlands terms. I could go to splinterlands.com and pirate the shit they wrote on there, which will work. I mean,
you got enough to do with your stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully, not only is it the proof of concept where other people pick up, their own ideas, and like you said, I love the idea of the foodie group. I mean, I think that's just right up, something that should be started yesterday. But hopefully, other people from Leo Finance will get the inclination to start joining in, and over time we can add more people and just build it out and keep building these links.
You're having too much fun, John. Task, John. John's on the other side of the screen.
Both have no hair, but yeah.
Yeah, you hide it.
Yeah.
Well, you got it all on your face. I couldn't grow that thing if you gave me 5 years.
There you go. Well,
No, don't go there, John. Don't.
I just work here.
John's in a bad mood. Blaine.
I'm not in a bad. No,
I'm in a bad name.
Dude, I have Starlink. I'm in a great mood.
When it works.
It's doing great. Well, it's sunny out, so it's perfect right now. So it's fantastic.
Just think of it this way: what if you didn't have Starlink and you lived there?
We wouldn't be able to do these, sir. I would have to call you on the cell phone to record. Literally. And the funny thing is that there's no cell reception here, so I'd have to drive 20 miles to get cell reception.
And if you're
Streaming
doing that,
from
you
my
might as well
car.
go and spend $5 for a coffee at Starbucks. That's American, not Canadian, which is
Right, yes.
probably now about $7.50 Canadian.
$14.50 or something. Yeah, exactly.
Why
For
would you go to
coffee, you do
Starbucks
this-
when you can go to Tim Hortons?
See? Canadians think the same.
Starbucks is just expensive sugar.
Yeah, I'm good.
That it is.
Thanks. Guys, thank you very much for listening to the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. Big shout out to everyone watching the live and, of course, on the recording as well. We will have Shadows Pub back as well. And Task and I will be back on Friday for your viewing and pleasure-ish, kind of, sort of.
Question day.
Questions are there for Friday's show. You guys have a great day. Toodles.
Ciao.